curiosity is something that has been censored on a mass scale. We need to set our curiosity free again. And what I mean is that curiosity in its most simple form is asking questions that challenge the way that we do things. Not just on large scales, but even on small day-to-day, types of things. We need to have that curiosity to ask why we're doing what we do. And in the day and age that we live in right now, we have censored ourselves, overly censored ourselves because of several reasons. There's three that I specifically want to hit on, but there are several reasons we do this. But these are the top three that I've found really keep people from challenging the norm and challenging the status quo. And that first one is kind of fairly obvious, but they're afraid of looking stupid, right? They're afraid that if they speak up and challenge the way that they do things, if it's in an organization, if it's in a community, no matter where it is, if they speak up and challenge that, they're going to look stupid to everyone else because, well, obviously this guy didn't get the memo, right? Or he's not, or she's not accessing information that we have immediately and on demand. How could they not know the answer? Or why would they think it would be anything else, right? This is one of the number one reasons that people are censoring their curiosity. They don't want to look stupid. The other reason is because they're afraid of judgment. Either they're afraid of, being judged, and I say they, but let's be honest, we all deal with this, and I'm not separate from that. So we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid that we're going to be judged by other people, or even worse, right? And this is very relevant today. We're afraid of being perceived as judgmental or overly critical, or God forbid, offensive. This is the world we live in. We live in such a hypersensitive environment that people are afraid to speak up or even challenge, even on the most mundane or even slightest ways, because they're afraid that it will be pulled out of context, misconstrued, and they'll be labeled as, offensive, and it just creates unnecessary drama. So people say, yeah, it's just not worth the risk. And they don't do it. And then there's the third. And the third is arguably the most important. And that third is because we are afraid of the answers that we might actually get if we ask those questions. And the reason why is because those answers that that we would get from challenging the status quo or challenging the norm, that'll require something of us, something that's not comfortable, something that bumps up against the familiarity of our day-to-day routines. It's not something that people actively go out and look for. And that is the most important thing that people have to understand, is that when we ask the tough questions, we have to be prepared for the answers, even if we don't like them. Because this is what human evolution, this is what growth, transformation, this is what it requires. It requires a shift and a change from the way that we normally do things. We've heard many people talk about this. It's called a growth mindset. For one, that's one that a lot of folks are familiar with, but it's the willingness to go beyond what is familiar and to ask yourself questions that present answers that challenge you to grow and adapt to something new and something different. Those are the top three reasons why we have squashed our curiosity. But my encouragement to anybody who's in that spot is, number one, is to give yourself permission to ask hard questions. It's not rocket science. It's really simple. It's just go ahead and say, it's all right. Nobody is telling me that I can't question this. Most of those limitations are things we put on ourselves. Number two is to be really conscious of the attitude and the energy that you bring to a conversation to question those norms, because that in and of itself will really dictate the environment that you walk into. We say find a safe place or create one, but one of the easiest ways to create that for open dialogue and critical thinking is to bring energy to that conversation that lets everybody else in the room there know that you're not here to judge, break down just for the sake of doing it, but that you genuinely have the best interest of the organization, of the community, that's on the forefront of your mind. and that you're asking these questions because you care deeply. That is a disarming way to create that environment. And not only that, the beauty of it is that it will give other people the same permission to ask questions that maybe they didn't feel like they could before. That's also real leadership too.